I'm extremely humbled and really, really grateful, but super excited to get started. I thought throughout the process, just going to be authentically me, and the more I was, the more it became clear that that's what the Melbourne Footy Club needed as well. Just feel like I bring a unique experience and skill set that people want to be around. I want my players to drive to work every day to be with a massive smile on their face, knowing they're going to be stimulated, have a lot of fun, but be challenged as well. I feel like every club should be aiming to play finals, and we're no different. We'll be chasing to be a contender in September again, that's for sure.
Big news out of the Melbourne Football Club announcing that Stephen King will coach the club in season 2026 and beyond. And when the big news is breaking, we go to our news breaker. Usually we go to the studio, but you're in studio here with us, Ralphie, and off your deathbed as well, mate. Friday night, you were a bit croaky. I had to check this morning. You're right to go?
I'm just a little bit better. By Friday and preliminary final, I will be absolutely cherry ripe. I hope, anyway.
Bit of lemsip.
A little bit of lemsip, yeah. Hey, fantastic appointment there for a good Belmont High boy in Stephen King. So he says they'll bring a brand of football that is uniquely Melbourne, as you heard in that press conference. He says we can play finals next year. You don't get rid of your stars. You don't get rid of your 30-plus players. Everyone wants to know. Petracca and Oliver, what happens? Here is the Melbourne coach today.
I think the experience that we've got here, I want to try and keep those experienced players here for as long as possible, because premiership players don't grow on trees, and to have them on your side while you're bringing in the youth of tomorrow and today, that's going to be a really important part of the way I want our team to play.
So that's all very well. This time last year, Christian Petracca wanted to burn the joint down. So desperate to get out. This year, he's not desperate, but I think he's open to a fresh start. He's open to a club that potentially could see him win another premiership. I think his teammates don't believe that he's checked out, but they're not sure that he's 100% invested. It's hard when you have that trade refused. Zach Merritt's in that situation. Geordie, you know him well, you know the players well. What's your sense of his determination, desperation to move to another club?
Oh, I think his performances this year on field, what did he come second or third?
Second in the best and fairest.
Second in the best and fairest. So I think he's always got the ability to perform at a high level when required, and as he said, that's what he's paid to do. So you do that. You always wonder what happens in the locker room, especially after what happened last year. And I think I was very vocal on, if a player shows a desire to leave, I think you try and entertain that deal if you possibly can. I don't know, I just sit back now, 12 months on, that conversation is still around. It must be that he's still got a desire to be somewhere else. So you just wonder what that does internally to the players. Is it the same player that he was 12 months ago? Not performance-wise, but around the locker room. Is he still invested?
Investment.
Is he still invested? Only the players genuinely know that, and Christian generally knows that. So I think Stephen King will have to make a decision relatively quickly.
Would a club like Adelaide be into him? Because Adelaide clearly needs gun midfielders.
Yeah, and you know what? They haven't got a pick this year, Melbourne, and I think they've got a lot of exciting older players, and they've got a nucleus of young kids. They haven't got enough A-graders that are young, so they need to get into this draft. So if Adelaide would say, we'll give you that first-round pick this year and next year, I think it'd be something that Stephen King would have to think about. Yes, you want to play finals. We all know that this premiership window is probably 3 to 5 years down the track.
The one thing that would be, in my mind, if I'm Christian Petracca, I wonder how different next year will be with a new coach.
Yeah,
and whether that does invigorate me, and whether that does actually mean that we're a finals contender, because that could potentially flip his his mindset around.
We might have said that about Zach Merritt a couple of years ago as well.
We'll get on to Zach Merritt very soon. Ralphie, the new coach has been anointed, Stephen King. It was set to be prelim final week, but I think it caught a few people off guard when it was announced last week before the weekend's games.
Yeah, no doubt about that. And so the delay there was because Nathan Buckley was to meet a trio of Tasmanian heavies tomorrow. As it turns out, Melbourne pulled the trigger before him. So those heavies are Alistair Lynch, the football director, Grant O'Brien, the president, and Brendan Gale, who I think you've probably met a couple of times. Let's not talk about boat races. This is not a boat race, after all, we've learned with Melbourne. So, but Tassie's categoric tonight. This is in the early stages. We haven't got a licence, we haven't got a stadium, we haven't got a list allowance. So Nathan will meet with them, they will meet with other candidates. But it seems such a nice fit because you've got young players to coach. They get a flagpole, a figurehead. This is the bloke who was our coach.
This is the Sydney to Hobart. Don't worry about that.
This is the boat race.
Absolutely. They want this man. Surely they want this man.
We already said he was $1.01 for the other one.
Well, I only know my side of it, and that is ultimately, I had to risk sacrificing an opportunity to coach Melbourne to keep an opportunity to coach Tasmania because the timelines just didn't match up. And Melbourne rightfully made the decision on a coach that absolutely was all in and wanted to do the job, and that was Stephen King. So they've made the very much the right call. Yeah, I was more attracted to the Tasmanian job than I was to the Melbourne job. So,
Were you surprised how quickly it moved, though? It did seem to move quicker than we all thought.
The Melbourne job. Oh, look, yeah, but in the end, I said, can I have a couple more days? And that was enough for them to say, no, we've got our guy. We're not going to wait. And I'm fine with that.
Did it catch you off guard though? Because they'd said that they were going to make the decision prelim week, and you're meeting tomorrow, which you've said with the Tasmanian Football Club. Did it catch you off guard that they said, no, you can't have those 2 days?
No, I put myself in Melbourne's shoes and I go, okay, you've come down to two guys. One that says he's absolutely can. You're going to tell me I've got the job. I'm in. When do we start? What do we do? We'll fix everything up on the go. And the other guy says, can you just wait three days or so? So I think it's a really easy decision for Melbourne.
But you've taken a team to a grand final, mate.
Oh, yeah, fair enough.
I think I would wait if I was in that situation. If I was sitting on the Melbourne board, I think an extra 2 or 3 days is not going to hurt them. Who are they
Especially when you've set the timeline on
prelim week? Who are
Brad?
they competing against?
Well, no one was expecting them to announce it. I would have thought it would have been the back end, maybe Thursday leading into the prelim week, but it just seemed rushed.
Why
Moot
Tassie?
point now.
Why Tassie? What captivates you about Tassie that didn't about Melbourne?
No, look, I've behind the scenes had a few chats with Brendan along the time and been involved in the program the process for a couple of years. Not as much as Jack, but I just think it's an opportunity to build something from scratch is something that doesn't come around that often. And prosecuting the Melbourne case and where I sit in my coaching career, I do want to coach again, and I haven't really been able to say that until probably about a month ago. So yeah, look, I'm really involved in I'd love to be involved in the Tassie process and that journey. And yeah, I'll have a chat with them tomorrow and see, if that's involved in a more official capacity.
One more before we let you off the hook, Bucks. Are you glad you went through the process?
Absolutely, yeah. I as I said openly, and I was openly here and to Melbourne that I was prosecuting them and my interest and my gut feel around a coaching opportunity. So I was able to work out my side of it. That yes, this is what I'd like to do again. I've still got to find the right fit, and I've still got to get the opportunity to have a club believe that I can help them along their journey. But this side of it, I'm a lot clearer on now than I was a month ago.
Away from the final series itself, those who are plotting to be there in future. Melbourne is at the front of that list. Stephen King was unveiled as the coach today, having won his way through to become the Dees' new mentor.
Without sounding full of myself or anything like that, I just feel like I bring a unique experience and skill set that people want to be around. I want my players to drive to work every day to be with a massive smile on their face, knowing they're going to be stimulated, have a lot of fun, but be challenged as well. And I honestly believe I want to play a brand of footy that's uniquely Melbourne, and I feel like I can adapt that to the skill set that our players have got. I feel like every staff member, every player should expect to play finals next year, and I hope I'd be really disappointed if that wasn't an expectation. I think the experience that we've got here, I want to try and keep those experienced players here for as long as possible, because premiership players don't grow on trees, and to have them on your side while you're bringing in the youth of tomorrow and today, that's going to be a really important part of the way I want our team to play.
Reinvigorate what's there was the message that the club has been speaking about for 6 weeks, and their new coach very much in tune with that. The most thorough grounding and pedigree you could get through the assistant coaching system, with a little taste of it at Gold Coast. What did you sense as you were watching his inaugural press conference?
So all we could ask for at the start was to go and run the process, and that was what I hope they did, and I think a lot of people did, and you will arrive at your best candidate, and this is the man that they've come up with, Stephen King. So that's great, and it's exciting, and I wish him all the best, and there's a buzz around the joint, and there's all excitement that comes with being a new coach. I suspect it's a really difficult one, because he's got another team that are playing for premiership here, so I can't imagine what's going through his mind at the moment. Like he has, and he will commit to Geelong because he's that sort of person. But in any spare moment that he's got, it will turn to Melbourne and what I need. And he talked about list and style and all that sort of stuff. He needs to get his feet under that desk and work out exactly what that is and exactly where that sits with some of the players on that list. But good on them for running it, and good on Stephen for getting the opportunity to be the coach of the most traditional footy club in the comp.
Is it the right strategy to, if they can, hold it all together, change the game plan and see what it amounts to?
I suspect that that's going to be totally up to him. I think that the game plan was beginning to evolve anyway, as we've talked about a lot. I like the way he spoke today about what sort of what the modern game demands, and so you get a whole new lens over that, and that can invigorate players. You know, they might be pigeonholed in certain areas on a style of footy that's been played for a long time. So, no, I think he'll work through all that. And then you talk about players and game plan. I suspect it's going to be a bit of both, isn't it? I would suspect there'll be some change, and that's a good thing too.
So those who work the trade beat, and Tom Morris and John Ralph, just the gentle whispers around Christian Petracca, that perhaps the club and player willing to both have a look if they can find the right circumstance this time around. Not gun-to-head stuff, not absolutely essential that it happens, but both gently open to the idea.
I suspect there's one of three ways. There's the Essendon no, which was the line they took last year. Then if it's moved again, that's no, unless. And that is something that can turn your head, and it's going to be a win for the football club because they control where Christian can go by virtue of the long-term contract, or get your best deal in, let's talk. I suspect it's probably somewhere between 1 and 2. Nah, not under any circumstances, unless you can turn our head. And if they can turn their head, maybe they can get a deal that is good for Christian and good for the footy club. But I also want Stephen King to get in there and have a good sit-down with Christian Petracca. I mean, it's all good and well, journalists talking to players, talk to that bloke there who's between us. He's the one that holds the key to Christian Petracca. And I would imagine if I'm a new coach, he'd be one of the first blokes I want to sit down to and go, right, where are we at here? I know you can play. I know you can change games. What's going on in your head? Might be a 5-minute conversation where they both fall in love with each other and away they go. So don't worry about what anyone else is saying or what other players are saying. Worry about what that bloke right there thinks.
Yeah, there's been a tendency to run Petracca down, which I found odd the whole way through. He led their Brownlow voting last year despite the horrific injury that he suffered just beyond the halfway point of the season, and he's just run second in the best and fairest behind Max Gawn. You're not going that terribly.
No.
Not in Melbourne's eyes anyway.
No, that's right. So, if Stephen King wants Christian Petracca as part of his plans going forward, then the number 5 will be there in round 1, I'd reckon.